He's A for Beeblebrox, the British tech guru. That is a sheet of metal, and I need to put a bend in it, or rather a double bend, so that it's actually a step. To do that, I'm going to build a folding brace, whatever it's called. Anyway, whatever. It's just going to put a step in that metal, which means I have a steel strip there that's fairly thick, and it's good, but it flexes. So I'm going to have to weld this angle bracket to it, and I'm probably going to weld it just like, well, put that straight. There we go. Weld it like that, just to stop that steel from flexing. I'm just going to tack weld it, because then I can take it apart and reuse the steel for something else. I'm going to have to cut both bits of steel to do the top and bottom, and I'm going to need some steel from an abandoned project. Well, it's not actually an abandoned project, it's a completed project, but I bought the wrong side, the wrong shape of steel. Just got my measurements wrong. So it happens to all of us. Anyway, so that is what's going to be happening, and I'm the only person filming this, so I have to do this on my own. Yes, this is going to be a longer video. The steel is now cut. The angle piece could have been a bit longer, but that's all I had. So I'm going to do my best with it, and it should work. If it doesn't, then I'll just have to buy some more and patch it in. But for the moment, that's what I'm going to be working with. And then of course I'll have to add the 2 shims, and I'll show you what that does later. Well, I'm all set, ready to do my welding. That is indeed a Harbor Freight welder. Chicago Electric 80 amp inverter arc welder. It's a DC welder. It works pretty well, and it's light and easy to move. So what we'll do is we'll go all the way up here, and you see I'm using Harbor Freight electrodes, the Vulcan 6011 3/32, and I'm going to be welding these angle pieces to these steel bars. These are pretty thick, but they do flex, which is why I'm putting this on as a backing. I shall make 3 welds, 1, 2, 3 on each side, and that should stop this from flexing. The only little bit of flex will be here, but there's not going to be too much, because the bolt is probably going to go about there when I tighten these two together, just to fold the metal I'm going to be folding. And we'll have to see how this all goes. Here's a little update, and I've been doing some of the welding. I've got 2 welds that side there, 2 welds that side, on both sides there rather. You can see that end is springing a little bit, so I'll have to clamp it like I always do, and then weld that. The other piece I've welded in the middle and at the one end. A bit more welding to go yet. I've got, I believe, 7 more welds left to do, and then this whole thing will be welded, and I'll be able to move on to the next stage. Well, all 6 welds are done on each side, and I'm going to test this now. This is the thud test. That didn't sound too bad, but this one, that didn't sound too bad either. So I'm going to say those welds are good enough. It looks pretty good. I decided to go with G-clamps rather than put a bolt through, because to be quite honest, I've got G-clamps and I don't have to do anything to any more work. So what I need now is the sandwich layer between the two, and the sandwich layer is what is going to bend the metal. And I'm probably not going to attach the sandwich layer. I'm probably going to have a really irritating time making sure it always fits and it's always in the right place. But on the other hand, how many times is this going to be used? I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of bending I've got to do with this, and that's all. I had to make a tool for a small job. That's always the way. To make the little shims in order to bend the sheet metal, I need a shim on each side, about halfway along, about halfway through. I decided to bend this piece of sheet steel, and I got as far as clamping the bender to it, and then it began to rain. And since I work outdoors, that was the end of that for the moment. And I'll come back to this in the next video.